All right. Good evening. Good afternoon, rather. Hope everyone doing okay. And we are back. And welcome to the Transformation Center, where we are moving you from a church mentality to a kingdom mindset. Kingdom mindset. Now, we are still talking about how to operate in faith. And we are dismantling and rethinking certain behaviors and mindset that many of us uh, have learned throughout our lives, and it has caused some of us to misunderstand God, uh, operate illegally, not truly embracing the function of who God is. It's just a lot of things that has happened. So once again, I thank God for what I've been through in a way that it teaches me uh, the grace of God that was already in me. And so we got to realize that we were not created to be just church members. We were created to be reproduced in the image of Adam through Christ. Thereby, we got to reproduce in the image of Christ to other people. Now, where we left off this morning, and I began to teach on how to operate in faith. So we understand that grace is the power that has already taken place, and faith is the actions of what already taken place. So if we believe we already healed, our action, our mentality, and our spirit see we move in healing. Simple as that. So we left off talking about uh we was on number 3, and I was talking about how faith operates from a relationship, not a distance. And we went into why people struggle with their faith. We gave 2 or 3 examples of that. So we're back at number 4. Number 4, you got to understand faith always produces obedience. If any time God asks you to do something, if any time a representative of God asks you to do something, if any time God shows you a vision of you doing something, anything that you know you are confident is from God should produce obedience in you, not anxiety, not fear, not pressure, not discouragement, because what that shows us, you don't believe Christ. We are saved by grace through faith. Grace is the symbolic that you have the power to do it because it already been done. Faith is moving in what already been done. So when we look at James 2 and 7, let's go to James 2 and 7. James 2 and 7. James 2 and 17. Let me pull this up. What old James? What you talking about over there, James? What up, dog? What up, dog? What up, dog? What you up to, dog? I'm just trying to tell you what I'm talking about, dog. All right, then, dog. Which verse you on? I'm on 17, dog. All right, let's see what you say then, dog. Even so, faith, if it has not works, is dead being alone. Now, that's key for about what we finna go into. Because he goes into 18 and he says, yea, a man may say thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. What does James mean? You say you believe God, but you don't obey God. So thereby, who are you obeying? Because I'm going to show you I obey God by doing what God say do. Now, so faith acts without fear. Without fear. And what many of us, we don't have faith, we have pressure. When you operate in faith, you have peace about what you're doing, you have clarity, and you're doing it about obedience. What you understand that's not missing that we should add, watch this, you don't know the outcome. See, faith don't say, I got to see what I got to get it. I just know I need to get it. Now watch this. This is very key. It doesn't really matter if you forget. It doesn't matter rather if you take time. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. What matters is your timely obedience and what you have. Why is that important? Let there be light. What it is, point, 220 of a trillion second, and it appeared. So timing is very important. When you operate from pressure, you feel an urgency, you have fear, and you are confused. Okay? And we got to understand, according to Isaiah 30 and 21, God's voice guides, pressure drives. Now, Sunday, what I said this is a commandment because this is what God told me. I never said that before in 30 some years. Get you 2 plants. One, follow the directions. Other one, listen to God. This is a commandment. This what God told me. Two days went by. It's a commandment from God. I don't know what people do. 2 days went by. God said, Dietrich, they ain't bought them plants. I'm on the live this time. Dietrich, look up at how much plant costs at Wally World. I said the cheapest plant's $1.76. Okay, say something. Tell them I said $100 because it's 2 days. what did I do? Go look at my video. I sat here and I said, hold up, we're having a heavenly discussion or something like that. Now, I'm finna tell y'all something. I'm finna tell you something. What I said? Calculator. I did the calculator. I'm going through it again. Don't rush me. I said don't rush me. You think you will, God or something? I said, according to God, that's 352 because you didn't obey. Adam didn't obey. Curse is the ground that you walk on. We're not living in curse, we're living in grace. Grace says, oh, God, I don't got that. What should I do? I'm going to tell you what you should do. Some of you shortchanged us, but we ain't going to say, we're going to say something about that. Why? Okay. Because see, it says wisdom is the principal thing, and all that get understanding. You heard everywhere I said, but you did it your way. Disobedience. Disobedience. That's why most of you don't have faith, is because you're disobedient. Because you allow something to put fear in you, so thereby you confused. Watch what I left out. It's not urgent because you're going to do it. But because you hear that now, what I said this going to be this going to be the what I called it? That's going to be the highest plant you ever bought. That's what I said. I'm going to tie it in a minute, but I'm going to tell you why I got to tie this in. Because we are talking about faith. Watch this. That's what I said. That's what I said. I said, now, if you said, dog, I messed up, or dog ain't do it, I said, that's an extra 100 because I'm teaching you about grace. Did I not say that? So that's 452. Yeah, they cheated you, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got something for them. Yeah, yeah. Now, why did I say plants? Because just like God, I oftentimes know what I got to do before I get to it. Just like God, he knows what you're going to go through before you get through it. And sometimes he says something because he's preparing you. Now, faith. Let me help you out. Let me help you out. When you go to scripture, let's say we go over to Genesis 1 and 29. What does that say? I have given you every seed-bearing plant and all the trees and all the fruit trees for your food. Psalms 104 and 14. He has given herbs for the service of men, which means healing herbs. Ezekiel 47 and 12. It talks about leaves for healing. So the reason I told you to get a plant that you did not know, plants often emphasize their ordained role in sustaining life and health. Now, according to the text messages I got, 8 people bought plants. And I kind of like the way it is. So we got 4 single people that bought plants, and we got 4 couples that bought plants. I like that because now, single couple, I can encompass the whole revelation the way it need to be made. I was talking to, do I talk about that? No, okay, I can't talk about that. He told me to stick with what I'm talking about. Now, in order to understand faith, God needs something to work with. He needs something to work with. He told Moses, "What's that in your hand?" Christ said, "You need faith as a mustard seed." So some of you decided that God wasn't good enough for $1.76. Then you decided God wasn't good enough for what he said I need because you disobeyed me. So what that tells us, tell me if I'm right now, what that tells us, God is not a factor in your life. He's not the factor in the least, and he ain't the factor in the much. Because you took the position, I ain't finna do nothing. That's how you want me to teach it? Now, erase all that. Don't that. Don't erase all that. You know why? Because he said, if you didn't listen about a plant, don't listen to what I say now. Because if you didn't believe God talked to me then, how do you believe God talking to me now and he wasn't worth $1.76 damn cent? Can I say damn? Yeah, I'm pissed off. Because y'all sit here saying you got faith. You want God to give you $10,000, $20,000 and $1.76. Bring my tone up a little bit more. I want to be a little more mad. Just a little. Don't let me go overboard, but just give me a little more. I want a little more anger and frustration. Not no cussing now. Yeah. See, I'm like a TV. I got to make sure he control the bottom, control the volume, because that's what. See, watch this. That's what you think about him. Notice I ain't saying me. I'm saying God. God ain't worth $1.76 to you. How much your bills is this month? Hey God, can I say what I think now? Or who putting that in my head? I hope you don't have enough money to pay your bills. Can I say it that way? Okay. In order to have faith, you got to give God something to work with. And I tell y'all, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Why they didn't do it, God? You, to be honest, can I say, see, I can't say what I want to say because I know the flesh will get involved. Because I remember the time that I had to fight the slop man for the leftover chicken in the dumpster because I ain't had no money, but I wanted to eat. And you sitting here, and see, that's why I can't say what I want to say, because it takes me back how I learned God. I hope you lose everything you got, to be honest. Can I say that? God ain't saying that. I'm saying that. He said, leave him out of that part. Oh, he included, because guess what? You was in the flesh when you didn't hear him. So listen to me in the flesh. Boy, that's some good stuff there. I like stuff like this. Watch this. Now, you ain't no better than bought the plant. Let me tell you something. Because see, I heard certain things, either through conversation, cause, see, I heard somebody tell me it's a lot of plants in here. Let me watch wisdom. Why would you go buy a plant and you got plants in your house? You know what you needed to do? You go to that plant, you cut a piece off, you take some of that dirt, you find your cup, you put the cup in the dirt, and you take the plant you got off the plant that you already got, and you stick it in there. You don't just stick it in there. Put a little water in there. You didn't even have to spend $1.76. What I just said. What's that in your hand? You know why? Your mistake was doing what I told you to do instead of asking God how you should do it. So you ran yourself to Walmart and you got plants all around your house. Boy, this stuff be so good. Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. Why? Because instructions without clarification oftentimes leads to confusion. But at least you did what was commandment. I didn't care where the flowers come from. I said you needed two. Why you needed two? I'm gonna tell you why you need two. Tell you why you need two. It was a show of faith. Watch this. I said grace. We saved by grace through faith. We taught on grace. See, what you did was because it was the action of your faith for what Christ did for you. The problem is we want to barter with God. Now watch this. We went through the 7 stages of faith, of grace and faith, and we told you how they parallel with one another. The number one stage was awakening faith. I said, that's saving grace. Can God receive me? Watch this. Your salvation is in danger. It's because you trying to operate in God and you don't even know you in God. See, watch this. Hey, Deidre, tell them to go get some flowers and tell them to get 2. See, watch this. I initiated your faith. Your response is, let me go get this flower to see what God gonna do through the flower. Your response was, I ain't going to get nothing. God ain't worth $1.76. Huh? Oh, he said, since I was disobedient, he ain't worth me. He ain't worth me obeying, so he sure ain't worth correcting me. You just showed that God is worthless to you by your actions. Now watch this. You do know I'm a teacher's teacher, don't you? A teacher's teacher often can take everyday life and make it an act of faith of where you are in your stage of life that you don't have to guess where you at with God. Your life shows it. Grounded faith, which means I told you this morning, we are teaching on justifying grace, which means, am I really right with God? When you didn't do what was asked, that shows you ain't right with God. Because $1.76 was too much for you to do. Whatever the amount came up to, that's too much for you to do. What you chose was your safe place. You sat there in the flesh, and we spiritualize our disobedience. Is that right? Because watch this. When we're doing justifying grace, that means righteousness is declared, not earned. If you wonder where you stood in God, he wanted to tell you through nature, because what you had to learn is your nature. Ain't no need to get no flowers no more, because we done started. Because for many of you, you want to see what's going on. Now you want to run and get right. Now you want to do it. Watch this. Am I biblical in what I'm saying? That's why he cursed the ground for Adam's sake. I can't allow for you to keep reaping the benefits of my grace and mercy, but you're standing in a disobedient posture. See, he had to curse the ground for Adam's sake, because a lot of y'all think God rewards disobedience. God does not reward disobedience. I said a couple of months ago, I said, we're going to come to a point you got to discern when God is speaking to me, God is speaking through me, and I'm speaking as God, because that's why I said commandment. When you read scripture, Paul says, this what I think. Paul said, this what God said. Paul said, this is the commandment God gave to me. Oh, you bigger than the program. Anybody that disobeys God, that means you bigger than the program. You said, let there be light. You said, come up tree. You said, Adam, you my son, because it's obvious you bigger than God. They bigger than you, God. What you gonna do? You a peasant. Not to me, to them now. Not to me. Watch this. Watch this. Show you something. Who that? Romans 1. We're gonna hit around about that 25th verse. Let me show you something. Can I say what I can I say? Can I say it when I finish reading it? Because I hear you telling me, do I say it before I read this, or do I say it after? Just let me know, because I'm finna read this. Number 24, 1 and 24. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever and amen. What I want you to understand, that scripture means more than what it says. When Paul is telling them, you serve the creature more than the creator, what Paul is saying is that you're serving God from the same mind that Adam served God after the fall. So when he talk about worship the creature, what he's saying, your mentality. So when you become defined in God, you are a creature of habit, which means you serve God based on your emotion. You serve God based on your feeling. You're serving God based on who you want God to be, and not who he wants to be. So what you did is you usurted authority because you didn't want to submit to the obedience of God. Notice the words I'm using. So when we understand justifying faith, that's that grounded faith. See, watch this. Faith, your faith response should have been, I'm going to rest in the instruction I was given. But what many of you did, you spiritualized your own carnal mindset. Your faith only grows when you at this justified state, when you agree with God's declaration. What was God's declaration? Hey, tell them to go get 2 plants. Now, those that didn't get the plant and heard me, how many was that heard this and did go get the plant? I don't know because I didn't look. Let me go look at the YouTube video. All you had to do was tell me. See, I don't look at the YouTube video because you can only see it from my side. I don't be caring. Ooh, we got 2 watching on what is that? YouTube. Uh, where do I go? I don't even know where to go because I don't even be looking at it. Oh, let me go over here. Let me go over here. Cause see, I need to know for teaching purposes. Okay, that was on a Sunday. What was Sunday? What was Sunday? Let me see. So let me see. Calendar. I'm telling y'all now. Hey, look here, God. If I get married again, I want my next wife to be a good secretary. That way they can keep it. I don't be keeping up with that stuff. I never have kept up with that. I know where it's at when I need it. Okay, Sunday was the 15th. Let me go find that video. Let me find that video. Let me find that video. No wonder you want me to see it. That's so smooth, ain't it? That's smooth. Anyway, it was a significant amount that watched that. All right. So out of that amount, we got 8. All right. How many was a married couples or sleepovers or whatever they doing? You know what they doing. Okay. Now watch this. This is where you got to understand what marriage is and your relationship should be. So if we only got 4 couples that said let's go get it, watch this. Should I teach that part of it or I keep it whole? Okay, watch this. So we had a total of 10, but only 4 sets did it. Okay. Okay. Now watch this. You missed a chance. See, my 2 flowers are going to be representative of my 2 strongest weaknesses. And see, but see, you ain't got none, so you ain't gonna do that. But see, if you was married, this represent me, this represents you. See, all you and see, do you want me to go on the marriage side, on the marriage relationship side? Watch this. You ain't the same. Why you got to agree all the time? You don't grow the same. Why you mad if one of y'all hear God more than the other? If one of y'all obey God more than the other? See, to the married couples, to the relationship couples that didn't get no flowers, you ain't gonna understand what I'm gonna say when I say it. You know why? Because you came together and failed Ain't nothing wrong with a couple failing together. Adam and Eve fell together. But why would I want to be part of a marriage and we failing together? That's interesting, ain't it? Let me get off that screen and get back on. Now watch this. I was married for 9 years. I bought a plant, or did she buy that plant? Whatever it was, I think we bought that plant 4 years into the marriage. And one day we had moved in the last place where we in, and we was in there for about 3 or 4 years. And I was sitting there one day. I'm finna help you now. And I happened to look at the plant, and she was washing dishes. And I remember saying to her, I said, that plant ain't grown since we got it, but it ain't died either. I said, something wrong. We won, but we ain't together. But watch this. I wrote the book, Married but Separated, because of that. And this was after I noticed the plant. 6 years, and we never were together, meaning at the same level. Because I understood something, even though I didn't say nothing. I want God. You only want God because you see God operate in me. That's a difference. Because notice, it wasn't until Joey was 12 years old. Y'all notice how I've been saying 12 in the Bible? 12 years old. I knew then it's time to leave government authority. Because the conversation went with Joey older, we need to do A, B, C, and D. I don't know, it was partying and stuff like that. I said, I don't want to do that. I want more of God. She said, we're going to have a problem then. I heard it's time for you to go. Now, the problem is to understand faith, if you was a married and in a relationship, why y'all didn't get no flower, no plant? Who made the decision not to get the plant? That's what we want to know. Now he said he don't know. He know who it is. I'm just gonna talk what I hear, cause God know what I'm talking. Cause I'm just gonna get a thing. He said I don't need to know. Watch this. How you in a relationship and your relationship based off the foundation of God, and here you listening to a person who you believe to hear from God, who you done heard God talk to, who done gave you advice, who done told you what to say, and it happened. How your relationship built out God, and you married on a relationship, you listen to me, but both of y'all say no. That's a problem. That's a problem. Because no as a group means both of us stuck. Keep going. Now, well, how is our house being guided by God and don't nobody listen to God? God only you want to teach this. It's messing up the other good stuff. I don't want to talk about this, but I'm gonna keep on talking about it. Now watch this. You do understand You can be married and have your own relationship with God. You do know you can be married and don't have to agree on everything. It says one. It says, and they shall become one. What that mean is we should be going the same direction. Now watch this. When I use my GPS sometimes, it'll give me an alternate route. It'll either say 5 minutes faster, 10 minutes slow, or I'm on the correct route. But the end result is that I'm going to get there either 5 minutes faster, 10 minutes slower, or right on time. When you do nothing, that means you stuck and you ain't going nowhere. Why would you want to be with people who ain't taking you nowhere? Now watch this. You're a couple. You married. I don't know what y'all shacking up, sleeping. I don't care. It don't matter at this point. What I'm trying to tell you, how you in God and y'all ain't moving? Where is this God? Because it's obvious no one hears God. Now, it's either one or two things. Somebody playing like they hearing God and somebody using God through manipulation. Which is it? Because the God I serve, if you confident and you want him, you're not going to let a man or a woman stop you from doing anything that you hear God say. Because I come from a background where I knew I done did certain things. I knew without a shadow of doubt I did these things. And the person would come knock on the door, hey man, you the wrong one, the other guy did it. And I'm sitting there thanking God because I knew what I did. I knew what I did. So watch this. Faith grows by agreement with God's declaration. So if you listening to me and we're saying we're dealing with the justifying part of faith, the reason you can't see doing what's asked of you is because you ain't sure you got a relationship with God. That's what grounded faith is. The grace got to say, I'm already right with God. The faith said, did you say go get a place? Let me go get it. I guarantee you, if Deidre says you go do this, you'll get $1,000. I bet y'all go. You want the blessings without the work. And it's showing. Your slip showing. So watch this. When Christ came, he said, you are grafted in me. Grafted means when you take a plant and you cut a part off another plant and you slice that other plant. You take that one plant, it might be a rose, and you stick it in I don't even remember the name of plants no more. You stick it in a crepe myrtle, and you put it around that crepe myrtle, and you keep watering that. That crepe myrtle gonna get a rose bush come out of it. It's engrafted in. All the plants was showing, all it showed was, watch this, who God is to you. And by your actions, he ain't nothing. Because he can't give you instructions. He ain't worth your money. He ain't worth your time. and he better not correct you. He better not curse you. So what you doing, you walking this earth alone. How are y'all guided? How you got it? We just talked this morning how faith come hearing and hearing by the word of God. How are some of y'all moving when your every step is either nothing or disobedience? I want me a signing bonus. Man, check this out. So, what most of you struggle with is number 4. Faith always produces obedience. You ain't got to think about it. You ain't got to know about it. You just know God said it, I'm going to do it. Man, I went and got that done trailer this morning. And he said, right up in front of the building, since we had to put new lights on there, I want to make sure they working. I said, okay. And I looked at it. They left a thing off of it that I wanted. And he coming out. I said, hey, you didn't put my door stop on there to hold the door. He said, don't worry about it. I just give you that. The right light didn't come on. I know all my lights work on my trailer because I ain't got time to get in the police. I ain't got time to be stopping with the police. He ended up having to take the panel down of the right side. The ground was messed up. But I noticed when I pulled out, I ran over a brick and the trailer did like this. I'm going somewhere with it. So watch this. That brick represent the difficulties in my life. I got to hit a hurdle to shake something to know something defective. Because if I hadn't hit that brick, that light, when they said, oh, it's a fuse, it wasn't a fuse. The other man, he said, no, it might be a ground. But you didn't touch my tail. Like, how's the ground? So they took the pan off. He said, oh, this is the problem. They grounded the ground wire to the wood. Whoever built the trailer. They never grounded to the metal. What I'm trying to teach you, your faith is grounded in wood. You ain't touched the surface. That's why it's hard for many of you to obey God. It's because you ain't even touched the surface. Because just like that, where that ground wire, every time you hit something, it knocks you loose. You short circuit. So what you say, I'm going to stay in my safe place and don't do nothing and hope the best. Well, how can you stay in your safe place? What you say? According to God, many of you say this your safe place. When you don't do nothing and you know why you don't do it, what you say, well, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to let God work on me. I'm going to sit here and God will tell me what to do. Well, how can you when you didn't follow his instruction? If you ain't following his instruction, how are you going to sit quiet, pray, fast, whatever and say God is going to work on you when faith is an action word and he told you something to do, but you didn't do it? Is that does that sound right? Okay. Yeah. Now watch this. Number 5. Faith always trusts God's character, not his outcome. When you sit there and don't do nothing, you ain't looking for an outcome because you ain't doing nothing. So how God is working on you when God is constantly moving and we stop and say, God gonna work on me. Faith in God requires motion. Why does it require motion? Because we saved by grace through faith. Grace is already done. Faith is moving into it. God ain't working on you sitting still. That's your emotions. Uh-oh. I just got put in the judgment seat. Somebody around here judging what I'm teaching. Well, you know what? Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. I hope you do. Uh-oh, I got one. Uh-oh, this finna be good now. Don't nobody care. I got my relationship with God. You ain't got to listen. Did I not tell y'all yesterday with the service disclaimer? You rather not listen to me if you ain't gonna obey because it's only gonna get worse. Because the more upset you get, the more petty I'm gonna get. You know why? It ain't doing it to me. Because when I turn these videos off, you know what I do? I go to working for God. You right, God. No, I don't. Sometimes I do. God said, you know you be watching Gunsmoke. My fault. Sometimes I work for God. Sometimes Gunsmoke. You right. Now watch this. Hebrews 11 and 13. These all died in faith, not having received the promise. Watch this. The worst thing you can do is nothing, because what you're judged by is your heart in which you try to do what you need to do. So when we got peoples in Hebrews 11 that constantly move in the things of God but never receive the things of God, they didn't stop and say, God, I'm waiting on you. They kept moving toward the promise. And what's wrong with many of you? Your faith has become outcome based faith, which means when you don't see God doing that for you, you don't trust God's character in you. Do you understand? God is faithful even if the results are unseen. Job 13 and 15. That is what most of y'all is suffering with. Let's go over here to Job. Hey, Job, what you talking about, cuz? Do y'all know why the book of Job was written? I'm going to tell y'all why the book of Job. Do y'all want to hear why the book of Job was written? Job is basically mental torment. Job is basically a book that was written. It often shows the mental torment of what Adam and Eve went through. Job 13 and 15 says, though he slay me, yet would I trust in him, but I will maintain my own ways before him. The problem with this scripture, Job thought it was God taking away from him. God was allowing Job to experience what it's like to be away from him. See, you can be in the right place in God, and God will still allow the enemy to try you. Just because you losing stuff don't mean you done lost God. Because the moral to this story, no matter what Job went through, Job stayed praying to God. He got upset, he got angry, but he never gave up. Oh, well, yes, he did. Yeah, he tried to give up. So watch this. So what many of you have disobedient, disobedient based faith. Disobedient based faith comes from disappointed faith. It comes from most of, ooh, that's good there. Some of it comes from listening to your husband or your wife. Some of it comes from listening to your parents and your siblings. Good, bad communication corrupts good manners. It didn't say who it can come from. And what's wrong with a lot of you have let people who really didn't have a relationship with God, you let them contaminate your relationship with God. A lot of you lost your identity in God because you're trying to absorb somebody else's relationship in God. See, the problem is, as we talked about it, a lot of you deal in guilt-driven prayer. You pray from a defeated position instead of a victorious position. You praying from a God, I need you to do it position instead of a God already done it position. The problem is you have no lack of faith because you don't understand the grace that it takes to operate in faith. Because once again, grace already covered the lack, the discouragement, the distraction. Faith is I got crude, I got smooth sailing because can't nobody stop me. So what's wrong with many of you, because you have these disappointment and all that, what you have is an outcome-based faith. And what many of you do, and that's what you're going to try to do, let me see what he's going to do with this plant. Now I go get this plant. And nah, that don't work over here. Don't y'all understand? When you don't do something, it cancels out because you're supposed to move by faith. You can't say, okay, let me go get it now because Brother Hubbard said this or God said this. No, stay where you at and build your faith. Stay where you at and build your faith. And see, that's the problem with church. A lot of you are under members and leaders that say, you just got to get in your faith. You got to understand grace. And they never broke it down like you hearing it. Because watch this. I'm not teaching you like a member. I'm teaching you to be a disciple. Members stay in the church. Disciples go out in the world. Now, 2 Corinthians 4:13. What is this? Number 6. Faith always speaks, but never manipulates. And what has happened, a lot of you have learned the religious language. And you speaking from a foundation of fantasy because you want to see it happen, and you don't have faith that it's already happened. See, faith is it already happened. You just moving into motion. That's when you speak that you convince, not what you want to happen. And what's happening, the reason, number 7, the reason some of y'all didn't get these plants, because faith is a process, not pressure. Luke 17:5, the disciple asked for more faith. What did Christ do? He gave them alignment, not intensity, which means he didn't put more on them than what they understood. Mark 9:24, I believe, God, help my unbelief. Do you know you can believe and not believe? See, watch this. If I was y'all, If I was y'all and I had a teacher like me, hey God, watch this. I don't know why you want these plants, but I'm gonna go get them anyway. That's positive faith. Hey God, I don't even believe you told me to get these plants, but I'm gonna give them anyway. I'm gonna go get them anyway. What's the difference? They both did something. I ain't gonna do it, God, because I don't feel led to do it. I don't do it, God, because I don't hear you telling me to do it. How can they hear without a preacher? That's why I told you to do it. You ain't hearing them, fools. That, was I supposed to say fool? Dumb. You ain't hear no dummy. Dumb sheep. Dumb sheep. See, faith grows safely where honesty is allowed. And see, that's why faith is a process and not pressure. See, watch what I said when you hear my testimony. God, I don't even know this you. But if I'm wrong, make it right. I didn't stop and say, okay, I'm waiting on confirmation. Okay. I don't know. I said, God, if this you and I'm wrong, make it right for me. I didn't just stand still and spiritualize my unbelief. Do you know? And I'm gonna give you a cheat sheet, but you can't use it because this is discipleship. If anybody tell me anything and I don't believe it, I do it anyway. God, I don't believe it's you, but just in case, I'm gonna do it. Why would I do it anyway? And I don't, because faith is a process. I, so watch this. So I got the hookup because God said, go back to the trailer. I'm on my way home. He said, you need to redo the trailer. I put in fast sign because that's the one I used when I was in Tallahassee. I go straight to fast sign. I go in there and tell them what I want. Boy, I had already made up in my mind what I paid in Tallahassee. I said, okay, I'm in Atlanta. If it's over this, I ain't gonna pay it. I don't think I heard right. Because I said, go ahead. But when I went in there and he said, I said, wait a minute, how much you saying? I said, oh no, I ain't finna pay that. I'm finna go. That Holy Ghost go to talking to you, boy. Diedrich. They got to take that off. They gonna make it bigger. They gonna put all these extra signs in it. When you got it done the first time, it was a blank canvas. Now they got to remove and put up. But watch what the man was telling me. He said, yeah, I can see it's starting to peel. I said, well, how much does last anyway? He said between 5 and 7 years. It's almost 8 years old. I noticed it because I said, oh, I need to change this and this. Now watch this. This how you got to always have a relationship with God. I went one place and they didn't do what they supposed to do. So they gave me something that I didn't have to pay for. I go to the next place. It ain't what I want to pay, but I got to pay for what I want. What I just told some of you, he wasn't worth the least, and he ain't worth the much. What is he worth to you? Why do we serve God when he given us much, but we give him so very little? Even Paul, going through all the trials he get through, he said these light afflictions are worth a more exceeding glory. Listen here. Watch your mentality. The reason I keep saying $1.76, that's how low your relationship with God is. The reason we said what we said about since you didn't do it, pay this much. That's how far you are from knowing who he is. You just around here, some of y'all just suspended animation. You just floating on your last wing of the prayer. Now, what did I say? I believe, help my unbelief. We rather say I ain't gonna do nothing than help me to do something. So if faith grows safely where honesty is allowed, the reason you got no faith, you ain't honest with yourself. And what's wrong? We want to blame God and everybody else because we don't want to see how messed up we are. And so we treat faith like a muscle and not a gift. Ephesians 2:8. Your faith is only sustained by grace. What is grace? The belief that is already done. And if it's already done, walk like it. How you walking like it and you ain't doing nothing? How you walking and you complaining, you murmuring, you bitterness? What you say? You know, when we was younger, us, we used to sit there and pout sometime or we'll do something. And mama said, fix your face before I give you something to cry for. Fix your faith before you see you ain't got none. So when you read Titus 2:11 through 12, he's teaching that your faith is sustained by your grace. Your faith should be stable by now. Your faith should be protecting you from working to know God that I know God. We're talking about justifying grace. And the reason your faith is not working is because you're not standing in who you are. Who are you? A child of God sitting on the right hand side of the Father. So watch this. The reason a lot of you don't have grace, can't understand faith, is because you exhausted from believing and you should have been moving. You keep praying for God to give you something, you got to move towards what you already got. So in order to practice your faith, in order to understand how faith operates, your first step is learn how to abide in God. John 15:5. The second thing, learn that you need to hear God. Isaiah
transformation, sinner we proclaim.